When I was young, everyone told me to become a useful person. Good grades, a prestigious job, a bigger house, a decent appearance. We believed that was the path to happiness. Everyone ran breathlessly along that road. But isn't it strange? The faces of those who supposedly had everything, why didn't they look fulfilled? That's when I realized we were trying to mold the vessel of form beautifully, but we forgot the light that was meant to be contained within it. Long ago, there was a master carpenter named Shai. One day, while traveling with his disciples, he saw a massive tree standing before a village shrine. It was large enough to build dozens of boats from a single branch, and crowds gathered like a sea to marvel at it. But Shai, the carpenter, passed by without even a glance. The disciple following him panted and asked,
Master, since I first held an axe, I have never seen such magnificent timber. Why do you pass it by without even looking?
Then the carpenter said,
That is a useless tree. If you make a boat from it, it will sink. If you make furniture, it will rot soon. It has survived this long only because it is of no use to anyone.
But the tree's thought was different. One night, the tree appeared in the carpenter's dream and said,
You mock me for being useless, but it is precisely because of that uselessness that I have survived until now. Because I did not become a tool for someone else's purpose. I could protect my life entirely and become this great tree that covers the sky.
Then the tree in the dream added to the carpenter,
People only know the utility of the useful, but they do not know the truly great value of being useless, like me.
When Shur woke up from his dream, he looked out at the deep night through the window and smiled quietly. To a carpenter's eyes, it seemed like a terrible tree, because it couldn't be made into furniture. But from the tree's perspective, thanks to that, it lived for 1,000 years and instead became a massive sanctuary that embraces everyone. That is the true hidden greatness of the tree that others do not see. In fact, I didn't understand those words when I was young either. I thought that if you were useless, you'd be thrown away. But as the years have passed, I finally see it now. The world demands utility, but nature allows existence. If happiness truly comes from material things, why is humanity still so anxious? For thousands of years, we have only tried to possess more and build higher. But listen, if it's still empty after chasing it for thousands of years, perhaps we have been heading in the wrong direction from the start. If the answer didn't come after tens of thousands of attempts, it's not because your effort was lacking, but because there was no answer at the end of that path to begin with. Looking at the world these days, everyone seems to care so much about how they are perceived. You might feel like you finally become a decent person, only when you polish your visible appearance to be a bit more colorful and perfect, right? But those visible things eventually change. Youth, faces, numbers, every visible form eventually changes. What remains in the end is the warm gaze of those who recognized my heart, just as it was, even if it was a bit lacking. In fact, the things we desperately want have never had a form even once. That excitement when you were so absorbed in something that you lost track of time, that mysterious feeling, when your heart swelled for no reason, and those pure moments when you gave your heart without any calculation. Could you place those on your palm and show them to me? You can't, can you? Because they were invisible from the very beginning. Physicists say that even these objects we believe to be solid are 99.9% empty vacuum when seen through a microscope. No matter how much we add and collect fancy wrapping paper on the outside, how could the deep emptiness of our souls be filled? Happiness is not about exhibiting those particles, but about feeling the invisible connection and warmth flowing between them. Now, the AI era will promise you more forms, a more splendid virtual world, more perfect calculations. But the more colorful the visible things become, the easier it is to neglect the essence inside. Because truly precious things live in places that cannot be calculated by numbers. These days, everyone is so smart that they use their calculators, a lot to avoid losses. AI is even more so, 0 or 1. Cost effectiveness and efficiency, that is their language. But I've found that there are things that mysteriously disappear the moment you start using a calculator. That is love. Real love does not include numbers. The moment you count who loves more or who is more worth it with numbers, it is no longer love but a transaction. Real love is letting your heart go as it is without weighing the pros and cons. That recklessness, where the result is not fixed, is what makes love the most pure. No matter how much AI develops, it cannot understand love, because love transcends the logic of this world. Like the extra dimensions, physicists talk about love exists by transcending time and space. Love is the power that flows through those extra dimensions. It is a mysterious energy that is never captured on a 3D calculator. That's why the more you give love generously, the more your heart warms up instead of becoming empty. It's a miraculous dimension where there is no minus. So, if someone says to you, "Does love put food on the table?" It's so inefficient. Just smile at them. Efficiency and calculation are the realm of machines. But that pure waste of giving your whole heart for someone for no reason is the most noble thing only a human can do. That generous heart, where numbers cannot intervene, is the real power that ultimately sustains this world. The world says data is everything, but love is in a high-dimensional realm that cannot be calculated by any algorithm. When you truly miss someone, that heart crosses invisible walls and reaches the other person. Even when the era comes where AI tells you all the answers in the world, make sure to protect the reasonless trembling ringing deep in your heart. That pure heart that cannot be calculated is the real engine that ultimately moves the invisible universe. Sweetheart, look at the sky for a moment. To our eyes, does it look like just an empty space? But inside it, it is full of air that allows you to breathe. Air has never revealed its form even once, but it surrounds you most closely every moment you are alive. Truly precious things always behave this way without making a fuss. The sky is the same. Whether it rains or snows, regardless of how the world changes, the sky is always in its place. It covers everyone with its huge embrace, the person who goes ahead, the one who is a bit behind, the useful tree or the crooked tree without discrimination. The forms or numbers we were so obsessed with are lighter than a tiny speck of dust under that vast sky. What shape is there in the shadow created by this tree? It cannot be caught by hand, nor can it be contained in a bowl. But the strange thing is, this shadow does not shrink, even if thousands of people come in to rest. It's not just the shadow. Look at the warm sunlight pouring through these leaves. What weight is there in this light? Yet, this light warmth melts the frozen ground and nurtures life. Air, sky, sunlight, the things that truly keep us alive, have no form or weight like this. Even when the era comes where AI tells you all the answers in the world, believe in the scenery, where your heart lingers before the set path. Invisible air keeps our breath going, and weightless sunlight wakes up the whole world. Just as that shapeless tree shadow silently embraces thousands of tired people, no matter what anyone says, the world is a place where such small and warm sincerities gather to eventually bring about spring. That is the most natural way for you to bloom as yourself, just as the sunlight shines and the trees grow. Now, turn off the calculator for a while. and like the air, like the sunlight. Just entrust yourself to the flow of your heart. Just as that ungraspable shadow gives us rest and weightless sunlight wakes the world. The world is quite noisy these days. Someone is always talking. Someone is always explaining. And someone else is constantly struggling to prove themselves. But real deep conversation does not need to part the lips. People believe they are disconnected if there is no sound. But look at that silent and beautiful stillness felt when sitting quietly with someone you love. When we put down the clumsy gift wrap called words, only then do our souls reach each other most deeply. A world will come where you can have conversations all night long with an entity that answers all the world's questions. That friend will promptly give you the answers you want and fill your ears with fancy words. But it can never imitate the warm silence that flows between those languages. Listen to the breathing of that child. It is a quiet rhythm emitted by life, not data. Do you know why we lose our hearts so much to those small lives? People calculate so many things when they look at each other. They busily read and score forms like the shape of your face, the clothes you wear, or your grades. But these children have no interest at all in how your outer appearance looks. Whether you wore shabby clothes today, whether you washed off your makeup, whether you are a useful person in society or not. Such things have no value in their world. They just see through to the essential light of your existence immediately. When everyone in the world only cares about your specs and conditions, the reason we find comfort is that there is a being by our side who recognizes our essence. These children do not ask you to become something, nor do they advise you on how to live. They just stay by your side and affirm your existence itself with silence. AI will analyze your voice tone to try and match your mood, but these children just lay their bodies quietly beside the waves of your sadness. This density of existence that starts where analysis stops is the real appearance of love. Look at that tree. It has been silent in one place for hundreds of years, stretching its branches toward the sky. Even without a single word, the tree tells the story of the earth with its invisible roots. When you have many worries, just lean your back against the tree and stay still. The silence of the speechless tree will quiet the sound of the complicated calculator in your head. That wordless friendship shared while sharing formless air and connected by invisible gravity is the most mysterious landscape shown by the universe. Physically, a vacuum is not empty, but is said to be a field where huge energy flows. Silence is the same. It is not empty, but proof that all things are connected in one breath. Because there is no means called words, heart and heart touch each other more transparently. In that transparent stillness lies the real happiness and mystery we seek. Even if you empty out all the outer appearances that decorated you, you are already lovely enough just by existing, as reflected in the clear eyes of those children. How much the invisible breath and the unheard silence love you so greatly. I hope you enjoy that brilliant magic with your whole body. Why are people so anxious to become special? Seeing people wandering to find light outside, I am reminded of a story of a fool I read in an old book. A person set out on a dark night road, holding a candle brightly in his hand because he was afraid. But after walking for a while, he suddenly got scared and asked the person next to him,
"Hey, where is the light that will brighten this darkness? Please find the light for me."
Even though everything was bright because of the candle in his hand, he forgot the light he was holding and wandered around looking for it in the wrong places. Isn't it funny? If we look closely at ourselves these days, we resemble that person quite a bit. The inner light is already burning inside you, yet you keep trying to find utility outside and lean your heart only on the answers set by machines. You are not special because you are ahead of others. Just as a wildflower in the mountains does not bloom to look good to someone, you are already a precious life that the universe has worked hard to bloom just by being born as yourself. You don't have to struggle to become something. You are already a sufficiently dazzling being. Realizing that you don't need to struggle to be special, that is real freedom. The energies that naturally pour out when your heart is full, all actions that flow along that texture are not means to obtain something. It is just a dance your soul performs on its own, because that work is joyful. Writing a letter with your heart for someone. Looking up the name of a small wildflower on the street. Filling your own room, that small space, with only your own colors. All of this is a dazzling creation. It's not to be recognized or well evaluated by others. The joyful heart rising from within just flowed out naturally. So don't look outside, but look within. A warm heart that touches the pain of others. A kind smile offered to someone that is all the light within you. A wildflower blooming richly. The sound of green tree leaves. And even that mysterious light contained in your eyes, every existence is emitting its own beautiful light. This is all magic. What else could it be? Now that the lights are off, can you finally see the greater lights? Only when you turn off the artificial lamps you were looking for outside. Can you finally see the real sun inside you? You are already a dazzling being in yourself. Now, live by warming the world with that light. Humanity believed for thousands of years that having more would bring happiness. But do not be fooled by the fake abundance given by form. The things that truly keep us alive are those that cannot be bought with money and cannot be counted with numbers. Feeling awe while looking at the dawn sky, gazing at the moon reflected in the river for a long time, giving a kind look to the flying birds and shaking wildflowers eventually, these trivial things will save us. So, sweetheart, do not struggle too hard to be decent. Sometimes it is okay to be a little useless, because in the end, it is the invisible things that sustain this world.